Hey y'all, welcome back to my channel. It's Nunu the Nurse, back with another video. Thank you for all who watched my first video, tips for new labor and delivery nurses. If you don't know, I am a labor and delivery nurse. I started in March. I started with the pandemic, so I'll be a year in the game in a few months, so I'm still new. I figured I would come back and do a video about my journey to all of this, my journey to nursing school, because I loved watching these types of videos. And I had a lot of questions. You know, nursing is like my second major, and I'll just say my journey to nursing school was a long one, and it wasn't the easiest. So this is honestly for motivation for anyone else who's thinking about nursing but thinks that, I don't know, it's too late or it'll be too tough. And it is featuring my polka dot plant Pinky, who will be pruned. I want her to be more bushy than leggy, but that is a whole nother video. So I'll start from the top. So graduated high school and I went straight to my undergrad school. At that point, my plan was to become an OBGYN. So I knew I wanted to do like maternal health, reproductive health, but I didn't really know about like nurse midwives, doulas, none of that stuff. So I was like, oh, let me go to medical school. However, I was never one of those people that was gonna major in like chemistry or like engineering, like a lot of pre-med people do. That's not me. So pre-med is a track, meaning it's not a major, so you can have almost any other major and still be pre-med. So like some of my classmates, like English majors, philosophy majors. I was a cultural anthropology major, but you're still on the pre-med track. So I started off initially in international relations major. So I knew I wanted to kind of study something about like the world, and I've always been interested in that. So I went to my first 8 a.m. International relations class, and I was not having it. I like wanted the global aspect of it, but I was not into like the politics and the finance and the economics. So I literally sat down one day and looked through every major that my school offered. And I was like, cultural anthropology looks right up my alley. And it in fact was. So anthropology is the study of man, the study of humans. Cultural anthropology is study of different cultures, how different cultures live their lives. I still do love cultural anthropology. Like, I am so glad that I picked that major and not just like a bio major, because that's what a lot of people think they have to do in their pre-med, and you don't. It may be more convenient because a lot of the classes will overlap, but I've always been into like, I feel like half of me is really into social sciences and the other half is really into like the hard sciences. So it was a perfect blend, the best of both worlds in some ways. In other ways, it was a hot mess. So my cultural anthropology classes, I had like A's and B's, right? Like those were thought-provoking, but they're easy for me to succeed in. My science classes. So for pre-med at my school, we had to take bio 1 and 2, which I did great, and I've always loved biology. And bio 2 is pretty much just about evolution. I took chemistry 1 and 2, which are like, okay, I think I got like C's in chemistry. I went to like a medium-sized school, so chemistry was indeed a weed-out course. So like a lot of people dropped, and like the professors, I don't think were the most concerned about if you were doing well or not, because there were people that were passing with flying colors, and those are the people they were messing with, you know, like. So I did what I could and I passed with C's. Like, then came the heavy hitter, organic chemistry, which is a hot mess. And the thing is, when I say hot mess, it's not like I didn't like these classes. Like, they were all, and like almost every science is interesting to me, but it's just difficult. Like, I kind of wonder if I went back and took those classes now, would I have done better? Like, was it just because I was 18 and getting used to living in a dorm on my own? And I don't know. But anyway, the introspection will be for another video. So my science grades were, it's like my anthropology grades were here, and my science grades were like here. It's a hot mess. But it was the same for a lot of my friends. Me and my core group of friends, we all ended up being pre-med. So anyway, got to senior year, right, and I also had to take physics. Got to my senior year, and I knew what it was. Like, being realistic, my science grades were trash, so I knew I would not be able to get into medical school. So my plan was like, okay, like maybe I can do a post-bac program. So a post-baccalaureate program is a program you go to after you graduate your undergrad, and you take some science classes over, and then it's supposed to prepare you to apply to medical school after you graduate undergrad. So I graduated school. I came back home to New York, and I started applying to jobs I could get with my anthropology degree, which are kind of like really random, like full-time jobs. And I knew that's not what I wanted to do, but I was like, I have a bachelor's degree, I should be able to get a job. Plot twist, I was not able to. So I ended up becoming a writing assistant at a high school. So this high school had a library, and the students could come and set up appointments with me, and I'd help them with their college essays or any type of writing essay. It's definitely cool. I had a lot of downtime, but it obviously was not what I wanted to do. So during that downtime, I would do a lot of research on like, okay, if I'm not doing a post-bac, what am I doing? Because I still really, like, very much wanted to be in maternal health. So I did all sorts of Google searches. Like, I used to be in that library, like, acting like I was not at my job. Like, I used to just be researching for myself. So I ended up stumbling across like nurse midwives, and I was like, okay. So each day, the thought of going to medical school became less and less desirable. I was like, do I really want to do that? Go to school for all that time and have all that debt, and like, I don't know. So I like fell down a rabbit hole, as I typically do on the internet. So I looked up nurse midwives, and I was like, wow, I could be a nurse and then eventually be a midwife, which is like right up my alley. I had never thought about being a nurse. I didn't personally know any nurses, like, so I did a lot of research on that, and I decided, okay, I'm gonna go to nursing school and eventually become a nurse midwife. So before that, I was like, well, how do I know nursing is actually something I would want to do? So I decided I would first become a home health aide. So I enrolled in this home health aide course. During that, I did not work, so I was like broke during all of this. The course wasn't that long. I want to say a month, maybe 2 months. So I became a home health aide. And to make a little bit of money, I worked at Sweet Green, the salad place. So I was like in the trenches. I don't know. For me, that was like the trenches. I don't know. Like, I just needed some money, and I couldn't start taking home health aid cases, of course, until I finished the course. So I finally finished the course, and I'm like, okay, I'll take some cases and see if like caring for people. Obviously, nursing is different from home health aid life, but nursing can be nitty gritty. So I figured I would try that first. So I did that for 2 months. It definitely was wild, and a lot of the agencies who work for as a home health aide are like, you'll get paid late. You may not get paid your full salary, or not salary. You don't get a salary. You might not get paid your full amount that you're owed. Like, it can be messy. So, and it's like back-breaking work, literally. Like, I would have to lift like full-grown adults with no help. Like, I felt a lot less safe on the job. But it was kind of like one of those like trial by fire things. So I did that for 2 months, and then like I kept on getting paid late. So I was like, okay, that's enough for me. So I just did my like Sweet Green thing. I think I worked at the Gap. So of course, mind you, I have a bachelor's degree. So like all my family is like, what are you doing? My friends are like, flourishing, it seems. And I like, it's kind of self-conscious, but I knew that I had a plan. And to most people, it did not make any sense, and it kind of looked like I was wasting a degree, but I had a plan, and I knew it would be slow and steady. So the other reason I was working these jobs like Sweet Green and the Gap is because I would have to pay out of pocket for prereqs to go back to nursing school. So because I already had a bachelor's degree, I would apply to an accelerated bachelor's program. So if you already have a bachelor's degree, you're not going to go back to school, obviously, for another 4 years, because you already most likely have taken a good amount of classes. So because I was pre-med, I had a good amount of science classes. So I didn't need a program that made me do that over. So before applying to accelerated programs, you gotta take prereqs of the classes that are missing. And those are equivalent to the classes you would take like in the first 2 years of a traditional 4-year nursing program. So I saved money. The prereq classes I would have to take would be microbiome, anatomy and physiology 1 and 2, nutrition, psych 101, developmental psych. And yes, that's it. And all the others I took already at my first undergrad, like biochemistry. For my nursing school, they actually wanted to see one like anthropology or like social science class. And of course I had that down because I was an anthro major. Anyway, so I worked at Sweet Green and all these places. I ended up also working at my old high school, and I helped a student who had mobility issues. So I would help her get to her classes, and I also would tutor her. So I'm doing all these odd jobs to stay alive and make money and slowly take my prerequisite courses because I was not eligible for loans because I used all my loans undergrad. And also my grandmother did pay for 1 and 2 classes. So because I was working, I was only able to take 1 to 2 courses. I would work in the daytime and take courses at night. So it took me 2 years to complete my prereq courses. So for 2 years, I would work in the day, take my classes at night. Finally, after I finished taking my prereq courses, like in 2017, 2016, I applied to my first round of programs. Now, accelerated bachelor's programs are hard to get into because there's not a lot of slots and there's a lot of people trying to do it. And I knew that going in because I watched a lot of videos. I was on Reddit. So, you know, I had my experience in like home health aidness, right? Like I had my prereq classes. I was like tutoring. So I was like, maybe like my extracurriculars would help me. So I applied and I got rejected the first round. Well, rejected, and I got waitlisted at one school. So, but I never got off the wait list. So effectively that first year I got rejected. And then the way it worked out is that I then had to wait a whole nother year. So I was heartbroken. I remember when I found out I got rejected from my last school, I was working at a bakery and I was like a barista, and it was like wild. I'm not like a good barista, but I had to do what I had to do. So remember I got the email that my decision was online. So I went downstairs. I had like my apron on, my little barista hat. And I saw that I was denied, and I had a nice little cry. And I was like, oh my God, Nubia, you got to wait a whole nother year to apply. I was like, I honestly wiped my tears and I went back upstairs. Like, the grind does not stop. And I was like, I'm gonna become a nurse. Like, this is gonna happen. I just gotta bite the bullet and do another year. So I was still trying to figure out how I can kind of like tap more into like the birth world, maternal health, because I like wanted to do that and not kind of be working jobs that had nothing to do with what I wanted to do. So I'm, doing my Google searches, and I happened to stumble across something about doulas. If you don't know what a doula is, it's like a support person for pregnant people, and you offer emotional, psychological, sometimes like physical support during birth. So I was like, wow, this is fascinating. So I paid for a doula certification course. I went through DONA International, DONA International, and I was like, that was one of the most pivotal moments in my life. Like, I was like, wow, okay, I wanna work in the birth world. Like, this is for me. Like, I just learned like about just how beautiful. I knew birth was beautiful, but just like how amazing it is, how we can help people give birth, the physiology behind it, the psychology, how like a lot of interventions can be prevented if you can help the person be comfortable and relax, like different positions. Like, I was like, this is amazing. So became a doula. I did volunteer work for the most part, I wasn't really able to find any paying clients, which is usual when you're new, but I was just like, that was like the beginning of my like deep dive into birth. And I think becoming a doula was definitely like one of the most life-changing things I had done. So it's gearing up to apply to nursing school again. I would occasionally do doula-ing, but like that money obviously was not steady, so I was still working at Sweet Green, and then eventually I applied to work at a maternity store because I just wanted to be as close to my interests as possible. So I did get a job at the maternity store. So it was a retail store, and then we also taught baby wearing. So like, you know how some people don't put their kids in strollers, they kind of like wear them in different wraps, so we taught that. They also held like lactation classes, so I got to meet a lot of people. I met a lot of like lactation consultants, doulas, nurses, a lot of pregnant people. So at this point, I had completed all of my nursing prereqs. It's like 2017 at this point. So 3 years had passed since I graduated. So again, this was a journey. And I did get sad a lot. I was not making a lot of money at all. And I was just like, oh, I can't wait to finally. If you hear, that's my radiator. Sorry about that. But I got to stay warm. So I was gearing up to apply again. This time I included schools I hadn't included prior. So at this point I had my home health aide experience, my doula experience, my maternity store experience, and I had all my prereqs. And my prereq GPA was like a 3.9. Like I went in. Granted, it was not easier because I did work during the day, so I would go to classes tired. But it was easier in that because I was only taking 1 or 2 classes a semester, I could fully focus on that class. And all those classes were easier, arguably, than organic chemistry, and chemistry. I loved anatomy and physiology. Those were my favorite 2 classes. Anyway, this time around, I applied. I got an interview with one school, and that was the school that I got into. So I got into my accelerated program. I started in 2018. It was 15 months. It was a wild ride, but I loved it because we were all second degree students, and accelerated programs are all second degree students. So the crowd was kind of older. Like we were all really focused. We all could relate for the most part. Like we had, I think the youngest was 21, so like right out of a bachelor's degree, and the oldest maybe in like the 50s. So that was pretty cool. I would say accelerated programs are definitely worth it. They're definitely intense. I mean, it's 15 months. Some are as short as like 12 months. So you're becoming a nurse in 12 months. But I loved it. It was intense. You felt like you had a test every week because you did. Clinicals were long and tiring, and it especially was frustrating because I knew that I wanted to kind of do like labor and delivery, so all the other clinicals were just like not up my alley. But I did what I had to do. It's just like, it seems so long thinking about it, like from the time I graduated my first degree to the time I passed my NCLEX. I passed NCLEX 2019, and I graduated my undergrad in 2014. My undergrad program in 2014. So 5 years, 5 years after I graduated at 21. So I'm a nurse, but it was worth it. So again, I worked those odd jobs. I had a bunch of family and friends like, what is she doing? Like, why don't you have a job yet? I was dating this guy, and the first time I got rejected from school, he's like, why don't you just join the Marines? Like, I don't think nursing is for you. And I was like, why the hell would I join the, like, it's not even like I had previously been like, yeah, I'm thinking about joining the Marines. I literally never mentioned the Marines. That's literally like, if you know me, like, that's the wildest idea ever. Like, why would you say I should join the Marines? Anyway, for many reasons, me and him stopped talking years ago. But obviously, one of the reasons is because he obviously didn't know me. But anyway, you know, and at times, like, my parents were even like, okay, do you have a plan B? Because he just got rejected from nursing school. But I think for the most part, I think people trusted that I had my own journey. Some didn't, but it's not about them. So if you're trying to do anything, but especially nursing school, it's gonna be hard. You might not like get in the first time. You might get in and struggle. You might fail a class like many people have. Like, honestly, nursing school felt like the Marines. Like, it was wild. It was hard, but did it. You'll pass. If you don't pass, try again. Nursing will always be here, and like, I'm so glad I did it. That whole journey was like a whirlwind. And it's funny because I did all that just to end up beginning in a pandemic. So, you know, I think my wild journey to nursing prepared me for nursing. Nursing is wild. The world is wild. So definitely go for it. Sometimes I still just can't believe I made it. Like, I'm an actual nurse, you know. But hopefully, if it didn't inspire, it's at least kind of entertaining. I feel like I was kind of all over the place, but, you know, just wanted to give my story. If you have any questions, hit me up. Any suggestions about schools, any questions about applications, just let me know. And thank you for watching, and stay tuned for my next video. Bye.